Guys, I keep a get home bag in my car at all times. You know, if I'm just out and about, it's no big deal, but especially if I'm driving 1 or 2 hours away from home, I like to have a good bag just with the essentials. This is kind of a miniature bug out bag, but yet it's not a full-blown bug out bag because there's so many things you can put. This is probably a little heavy as far as on gear and things, but really I like to be as light as possible. You know, not getting too complicated, being very Spartan. One of the things that I do as far as setting up my bag is I always go by the rule of threes. And many of you know the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours in harsh conditions, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. And so I kind of base my criteria on those items. Now, of course, self-defense and medical fall outside of that. That could happen at any time. So these are the areas that I kind of focus on, and it helps me to kind of really narrow down what I want to put in my bag. This is the Direct Action Dust. It's kind of more of a day pack, but it's still large enough to put quite a bit of gear in here. Guys, if you're on the road, if you need to abandon your vehicle for some reason, if you just need to get home, you know, I don't want to fiddle around. I want to make my way home, and this is just perfect size to get me home. Now guys, there are a number of ways to set up your bag. This is just an example, and maybe it'll give you some ideas. Of course, down in the comments you can leave different comments about what you might carry. One thing though that I want to warn you about, it's really easy to just continue to add. You think, well, what if I need this? What if I need that? And that's a problem, and if you're not careful, the bag's going to be too heavy. One thing about that though is that if you're in a survival situation, you tend to get rid of the stuff that you just don't need. This bag may be full, and if there's some things that I don't need, I'll just toss them to the side. And so that's also an option. This is, again, one of the Direct Action Dust Day Packs. I do have a number, again, of a different type bags that I use, but this is just one of my favorites. I love this peacock camouflage color on it and just a lot of the features. One thing, though, that I'll say up front is, guys, don't skimp on a bag. Make sure you get a decent quality bag, especially if your life depends on it. Now this bag definitely has a lot of MOLLE attachments, and they're laser cut, so they're a little different. They're not so just out there. And you know, you might want to go more with a gray man bag. Personally, I'm not really worried about it. Guys carry these bags all the time. Now we're going to start out with the front here. It's a really narrow, thin little pouch. And so in here, because it's right up front, I can just pull out my flashlight. And this is a headlamp, but I can also use this as a standard light. It'll come off of this mount. And in fact, I just did a video on this just recently. These are rechargeable, and I threw in the charging cable. I do have a battery charger inside, a backup battery. And so I just keep this in here right where I can get to it. Right up front, we have this large pouch. This is kind of an admin pouch, but it's really roomy. Now, one thing I'm a big fan of is having a map, a local map to where your location is. And of course, we have a compass. I have a pair of binoculars just to get more detail if I need to. The map is protected in this, but however you want to do it. This is actually a pretty large map of the southeast, but it gives me enough detail to where I can get in there and find out. I think the more that I have, the better for me, but a local map would give you a little more detail. Now I have my backup battery source, and this is one of the Dark Energy battery backups. These are excellent. They keep charged for a long time, months at a time, no problem. And it even has a light on here. But anything that I need to charge up, I can do it with this. And then down here at the bottom, I have a bandana. There's 1,000 uses for this. I really like this clear cover because it protects the map. But whatever you use, make sure that you protect your map. Have it in some kind of waterproof bag. And I know that you've got your phone, you've got GPS, things like that. But if the grid goes down, or if you're in an area you're not receiving signal, this could be a lifesaver. Now here we have the front of the bag, and I'm going to kind of start at the back because these are the important items. I have one of the Frontier filter straws, and this is the Pro Plus or the Pro. This is an excellent way to filter water. I've done a review on this, but you can attach this to a water bottle. Of course, you have your straw you can drink straight out of a stream. Guys, 3 days without water and you're dead, so water filtration is vital. Fixed blade knife. And this is the Mora knife, and I like it because it's just durable. Plus, I have paracord on here, and it does have the fire starter on this one. So I really like this as a tool for survival. Here I have the spool tool. I have 100 feet of paracord with a lighter and a cutter. These are excellent, and you guys, you've got to have cordage. Then I have a small lanyard with a keeper, and I just keep a small light on here, and that way if I need something in my bag or my battery goes dead, my regular light. There's another pouch here. I keep wet wipes. This is just important to keep clean, keep your hygiene up, and it can be used for toilet paper. Over here on the side, I have a multi-tool, and this is one of the Gerber multipliers. But having a good sturdy multi-tool, to me, not one of the small little EDC, but something that can really handle a lot. I have a writing pen and a Sharpie, along with a Write in the Rain pad. Down here at the bottom, I have a little mesh compartment. One thing that I do is keep backup batteries, and I keep the CR123s, but whatever battery source you need, having some extra batteries, even if you have a charger. And for signaling, I have a mirror and a whistle, and this also has a thermometer on it. And it has a magnifying glass, not only maybe to check splinters, but also to start fire. Advil's definitely a luxury, but good to have. It's small, and some lip balm. And then I have one of the multi-purpose towels. I'm not even sure where I got these, but this is really cool. It expands out into a full towel. One thing that I typically keep in this area is some insect repellent. And I have these little small vials that are just perfect. I don't have it with me, but that is something, especially during the summertime. Guys, I like having water just handy. And this also makes a good container. If I needed to, I could actually cook with this. And so I have this out where I can get to it, and I have it secured so it doesn't come loose. Here on the other side, I have a couple of magazines, and whatever gun I'm carrying, a lot of times it's the Glock 26, but having some extra high capacity magazines tucked away just in case. In the main compartment, what I like to do is keep things that I'm going to need immediately up top. And one of the big things is first aid. So I have one of the Coyote Tactical Solutions, and this is one of their low drag, low snag kits. This is a trauma kit, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. Having a first aid patch on your kit helps to identify it, not just for you, but also for anyone that might be getting to this. Open it up, and these are really well done. I have some hemostatic gauze, and this is the Cheeto gauze. This will stop bleeding. I have a tourniquet, scissors, nitrile gloves. I mean, this thing is just packed out. Israeli bandage in the back. I do keep Band-Aids in this kit because Band-Aids are what I need 99% of the time. And so that's an important part of just the small things. I mean, if you cut your hand and you've got blood dripping, there's not a better option than a Band-Aid. And this has MOLLE attachments, so it could go on the outside of the kit, but again, I like to keep it slim. Keep a good head cover in here, especially in the summertime. You need to be able to insulate your head. Now, one thing that I'm big on are fire kits, and I have this little Maxpedition pouch. I keep just a number of different fire starting options in these little kits. Guys, again, you know, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Having a number of different things, because a lot of times I find that according to conditions, certain type fire starters are easier than others. One thing about fire steels and magnesium blocks is they'll last a long time. If you're just trusting on a Bic lighter, don't. Now, I have this one secured to keep it from, you know, this little tab to releasing all the gas, but it just seems to me that when you really need it, a lot of times the Bic lighters for some reason aren't working. I keep a knife in here as well as a striker, but also some fire tinder in the back, and of course the ever-present Vaseline and cotton balls, cheap and easy. But I also have some of the Ingalls Creek Fierce Fire, and this stuff is awesome. So it gives you a little more than just the Vaseline and cotton balls. And then I have a small little tea light candle. But I do want to give a plug to Exotac, because these guys make some of the best fire starters out there. And I have a couple of different options here, but these are high quality. I love them. I love keeping all of this together. It's just one solid unit. I know where all my fire starting tools are, and fire is extremely important. You know, it keeps you warm, it gives you good morale, it can cook your food, it can boil your water, it can even keep predators at bay. So having a fire kit, to me, is one of the most important things you can have. Now, even though you can last 3 weeks without food, I like having some emergency food. These are Lifeboat bars. This is just 1,200 calories. I have some larger ones, but this is small and handy. And guys, if I'm just going to be out a day or two, I can live on this. Now, one thing that is a little bit different is this little FLIR Scout. It's a thermal imager, and you can't hide from this. If someone is, stalking you, or, you need to kind of check an area and it's dark and it looks empty, you can use this and you can find not only humans, but also maybe predators or, animals that might be out. And this to me is really great for a lot of reasons. Now, I do keep a small saw in here, and sometimes I'll keep a pry bar, but if I just need to cut, I can, and I can actually generate some firewood with this as well. Guys, even in the summertime, it's good to have a good watch cap. They're small, they're easy to store. Gloves are important to keep your hands protected, and then I have some extra socks in case my feet get wet, and these are wool socks. I do have a nice raincoat, and I can use this for shelter as well, but I can take this and place it over me, of course, and keep dry. For sleeping, I have the tack bivy, and this is kind of a stepped up emergency space blanket that really will last, 3 or 4 days without any problem, and even in the summertime, but it's really nice and compact. Now, I do keep a fleece blanket in here just because I have the room. Even in the summertime in certain areas, it can get really cool at night. But the tack bivy would be fine. I think it would get me through, but this is just for comfort. I can always throw this out if I need to. One thing I keep in all my kits are a Heavy Mill industrial strength trash bag. These are big, they're large. You can use this for shelter. You can put it on the ground as cover to keep you dry. And there's a bazillion uses for this. In fact, I've had a video about all the uses. This is something that I keep even in my smaller EDC kits. Guys, even though we have cell phones and we rely on them like crazy, if for some reason cell service goes down, you need to be able to have some communication. This is a Faraday bag, and I got this from Survival Dispatch. I did a full review on it. But I like to just keep this in here because if there were an EMP for any reason, I've got my communications locked in here. Keep my ham radio in here, and you have to make sure you really seal this up right. And then there's a Mylar bag inside. Guys, there's a lot of cheap options out there, even just Mylar bags. But to really secure your items and protect them from EMP, I think you need to go a step above. Here I have just a small little ham radio. Whether you have your ham license or not, having a small ham radio, you can monitor channels, and in an emergency situation, you can use these according to the FCC. So this is the perfect option. A lot of emergency teams use the ham radio, and ham operators get out there, and in any kind of emergency, they get started. So this would be a great option to keep you safe and have good communications as a backup to your phone. And the bag is shown weighs 13 pounds even. Now, having a well-rounded EDC is important. Of course, you have your billfold in your phone, possibly a pen, your keys. Those most people carry all the time. But also a knife, a flashlight, and some kind of self-defense option. And of course, having your CWP or your concealed carry is very important. And guys, one thing I do want to say about concealed carry is a lot of guys will say, well, the Second Amendment is my concealed carry. If you're in a bad situation, you're lost, you're in a grid down situation, you have some kind of contact with law enforcement, and you do not have a permit, you do not want to spend that time in jail. You want to spend that time being able to protect your family. So guys, I just highly recommend you getting your concealed carry permit if possible. So guys, getting home is the priority, and whether you go with a bag like this or something very minimal with just a few items just to get you home. Guys, it's not that expensive to set up a good bag, and it's great insurance in case something were to happen. If you really want to get serious about prepping and you want to be very organized, check out Survival Dispatch Insider. I upload one video a week exclusively to the Insider. There's a lot of other great contributors on there. It's one of the best sources on the web for survival and prepping. And I'll have a link down below in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Guys, I keep a bug out. Guys, I keep a go bag. Guys, I keep a get home bag in my car at all times. This is called the egg. What's this with? Definitely keep a good ball cap in here. I keep a good ball. And this is not my phone, which I could put well, I don't really want to put a phone in here. Now, there's just a lot of things that can happen, all kind of things.